Death's Gambit is a 2D action RPG side-scroller game all about death. Now, a lot of people draw comparisons between this game and Dark Souls, and while they might share some of the same mechanics, I don't want to discuss Dark Souls too much in this review. Death's Gambit and its beautiful art style and unique combination of gameplay elements were more than enough to make me want to keep playing this, while Dark Souls never could. So if you are or are not a Dark Souls fan, I think this game fits both audiences. Right away, you'll be introduced to the game by picking a class. Most of the classes are defined by how you interact with the combat, but don't dismiss the classes too much. While initially they might just see it as simple as, sword guy or pickaxe or, wizard class, try to remember the bonus you are gained when picking a certain class. I picked the mage class or the wizard, and this class gives you soul power for your abilities when you heal yourself. And I forgot about that mechanic while I was playing. So I saved the feathers for damage increase when I could have healed myself and gained more power from my abilities to help me with my combat. Even from the beginning, Death's Gambit has a certain complexity that belies the $19.99 price tag. For me, I find a lot of indie games that are cheap pretty simple and they don't have much depth. But Death's Gambit has a perfect balance between easy to pick up but hard to master. The combat itself is one part of the game, with dodge rolls, blocking, bow combat, and being able to hit your target without them hitting you, but managing the systems like the inventory as well as the attributes is another part of the game you have to carefully consider if you want to beat the game. Exploring is essential, but also fun in Death's Gambit. It doesn't just feel like you're going somewhere to go somewhere to gape at the beautiful scenery, and that's because the platforming elements are woven beautifully into the levels. You'll spend your time exploring, hopping between platforms, climbing ladders, and avoiding spiked traps. The game also feels generous with tips and tutorials in the form of gravestones as you make your way throughout the levels. My favorite part of the game's level design and exploration is that you can find items and bonuses that make bosses easier to kill. Items aren't hidden obtusely or too tricky to find. Instead, it's more about how you can navigate throughout the challenges in the level design with dexterity and skill to get the said item. It's not a grind to discover the things like some games make them as sort of an achievement grind to just find unique kind of trophy items. But these items are actually useful and they present a challenge to get, but they also give you meaningful rewards to help you defeat the different bosses. Now, there is an element of a grind in the game if you want it to be that way, since you could kind of farm the lesser mobs to get more shards and become more powerful. But the progression system is clear and it's easy to understand, and it's actually one of my favorite parts of the game. I loved killing creatures and getting those shards and killing bosses, which can make it super satisfying because it just makes you more powerful and keeps your progress throughout the game, making things easier to kill. But the challenge is still there in the game because of the creature's different mechanics. A lot of mechanics that present difficulty that you'll have to jump in the air, dodge or whatever to survive the battle. I made my character into a pure glass cannon, pumping tons of points into an intelligence to make my spells decimate the enemies. The system is also smart enough that you can't cheese your way throughout the game, since the more mobs you kill, there's more of a diminishing return in how fast you can level up your attributes. The diminishing returns feel fair, however, and you keep progressing at a good rate throughout the game. Another unique element of the game is the feathers. Depending on your class, there can be some interaction, like being encouraged to use them for the wizard class to be able to cast more spells. Using a feather heals you, or you could stack them at a save point to gain a damage multiplier. This makes the game feel as if it requires a bit of thought and it requires you to pick your playstyle, which I really like, and that's what I think adds to the complexity of the game. Do you want to have a safer run with more healing potential, but you could lose that healing potential by losing a feather to the boss, or you could use the damage multiplier and not carry any feathers with you, but you won't be able to heal yourself on your run. Combat in Death's Gambit is simple, but it's fun. You'll be whacking a lot of enemies, but the weapons all feel different enough, and even the spellcasting is fun. You can buy more abilities from NPCs around the map, and you can also play with different combinations. I particularly like how you could stack spells to unleash them into a mega form of the spell. Lastly, we could talk about the story. Perhaps most unique about the game's narrative is that it's told partly when you die. The more you die, the more narrative you get, and it's told in a series of flashbacks that give your character a bit more depth. The basic plotline is that you sign a contract with death and you have to do his bidding. Sometimes the main character's dialogue does feel a little bit stilted since it's not voice acted. I'm not sure why the main character wasn't, especially when compared to the other characters and their wonderfully voice acted lines. I don't want to spoil too much about what happens in the game, but the voice acting and world building all feel wonderfully unique and diverse. The story provides a nice distraction when presented, and the bosses and their art design are a joy to behold, since they mess so wonderfully with the unique mechanics you'll have to deal with. You'll encounter vine-covered ruins, snowy vistas, lizard creatures, blue horses, and a tons of burnt bodies along your journey. Death's Gambit is a game that rewards exploration and thoughtful planning just as much as it values your precision in combat. It's a game that takes patience, but since progression feels so fair and dying doesn't mean you lose power, it hardly ever feels more frustrating than fun, which can't be said about other games in a similar genre. Thanks for checking out this video game review, and like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of this content. My name is Tom Spark, and I'll catch you again on the next video.